Okay, we can start now. Good morning, one and all. Greetings from East Point College of Engineering and Technology. We are happy to start our East Point IEEE Students Chapter webinar on introducing AI that is all around us. I welcome you all on behalf of ECE and the EEE department from East Point College of Engineering and Technology to this wonderful webinar. We have chosen an upcoming topic on artificial intelligence. I hope you all will be benefited from this webinar. I take privilege on introducing our keynote speaker, today's keynote speaker, Mr. Ramesh Iyengar. He is an industry veteran with 20 years of experience in varied industrial domains across India and other geographies like USA, Europe, and APAC. He has an experience in the field of business development, IT automation, industrial automation, and quality engineering and TCOE, etc. He has worked in reputed companies like Kirloskar, Tata Metallics, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, and now he is working as leader ERP cloud apps and test automation at Autonomic company. So, and he has received the best business, the People Manager Award from uh, Premji, Mr. Premji. So, welcome you, sir, for the webinar. I kindly
Thank you.
request you to take over the forum, sir.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for this opportunity to interact with you all. And thanks for the introduction. Uh,
Thank you, sir.
First of all, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're all joining from. First of all, I hope during this C-19 situation, you near and dear ones are all staying well and safe. So that's really important at this time. And the agenda for today, what I thought is, I saw the syllabus, that I got what is covered for you all in your institution. I thought, let me focus more from the practical point of view. So what I'm planning to cover is, of course, I'll touch upon some of the algorithms. I'll also touch upon, what AI is all about and where it is implemented. And I'll talk more from the practical scenarios of from the various domains, right? What are some of the use cases? And I'll also take you through some of the real case studies from the various organizations that I've worked with. And currently, I'm working with Autonomic. I'll also take you through some of the solutions. The reason being, with Autonomic, we are covering what we are doing is completely enterprise automation solutions. And actually, automation is my passion right from the beginning, where I started my career in a manufacturing industry, working for Tatas and Kirloskars, working for power plants, steel plants across India. I used to travel. That's where the quality, the automation that became my passion. So I wanted to continue, from there on. So I took a transformation to get into the real IT side of it. That's when I did join Wipro in 2000, and I was with Wipro for about 13 years, working on various engagements in the US for about 6 years, then in UK for about a year. I did travel across APAC on various business engagements, the consulting engagements. Then I did work for Tech Mahindra as a vice president, wherein I did build the entire DevOps practice, and I was a part of testing and automation practice as well. And apart from that, I did work as a senior vice president with Object Technologies, working directly with the founder and CEO here in Hyderabad, and I used to travel a lot. Last 1 year, I've been associated with an organization called Autonomic. So which I'll talk to you soon, towards the end of the presentation. Let me just move to the next slide. I hope you all can hear me well, and I hope you can see my next slide. So just to give a quick introduction, I know this is not new, for you all, but what I want to touch upon is, as you all know, the industry revolution, it started way back in 18th century, somewhere in the mid of 1750 or 1780, and that's where it started. The industry revolution, with steam and water power plants, that's where it started. And then it took about 100 years, to move to industry 2.0, wherein the mass production, the electricity, and all, were generated. Um, uh, we got into the level of getting the automobile industry, into the cars, the various automobiles, and then between industry 2 and industry, the revolution between 1, 2, and 3, it took about almost 100 years. But between 3 and 4, it took about 50, probably about 50 years. Think of the speed that we are moving. um, and now we are in 2020, we are talking about Industry 4.0. A lot of things we are talking about, right? We are talking about artificial intelligence side of machine learning, the deep learning, the NLP side of it. We are talking about the cloud. Everyone is moving towards cloud. A lot of product organizations in the service industry, yes, everyone is moving towards cloud. And we are talking about the areas like big data, the internet of things. It's not that it was not there as a part of industry 3 or industry 2. It's just that it was all wired. When I started my career in manufacturing industry and what I see now, it was existing. It's not that it was not there. The way we do the things now, it's totally different. That time it was all completely wired, right? And we are talking about the cyber security, which is really key as a part of 4.0. And we are also talking about the various system integration, right? So the way we are looking at Industry 4.0 is more from, I would say, the smart factories, the factory of the future, right? So what is the factory of the future? It looks like it will be more from the innovation point of view. It will be more from the agility, the speed, right? The increasing the efficiency, how well we can increase the efficiency, with what we did as a part of 1.0, 2.0, or 3.0, right? That's where we are. And if you see in 2020, you all have heard of SpaceX, I'm sure. I mean, did anybody imagine that we can have a reusable space shuttle, right, and landing exactly at the same position where it was supposed to land? And I'm sure you all would have seen that video, right? So that's about industry revolution, which I wanted to talk. I'm sure you would have seen this. On I just picked this from the web so that you all know where AI is present. Artificial intelligence, it is present everywhere. You take any domain, any vertical, any horizontal, any domain. Education, you're already seeing. Insurance sector, yes, I'm going to talk about hospitality, the entertainment side of it. It could be the real estate, healthcare. We are implementing retail segment. It's a big time, right? There is usage, and this is something which is making our lives more efficient every day. You take anything, you open Google search engine, or open your Gmail, you see AI. You see after 3 or 4 days, once you send an email, there is a follow-up, that comes, the smart replies, I would call it as. And on the commercial airline, there is AI autopilots, which is there on a day-to-day. And Amazon, when you open, or Mintra, when you open, you see the product recommendations that are coming in. It's all through the artificial intelligence side of it. So I will not only touch upon the AI side of it, but also AI related to the RPA side of it as well. So RPA is a kind of misnomer saying it's only for chatbots, but it's much beyond that on the process automation side of it. And apart from that, the GPS, that you see, or the mobile banking side of it, what you see, or even on Uber, right? I'm sure you would have Ubered or on a ride sharing app. That uses artificial intelligence. So all I wanted to touch upon on this slide is we are present everywhere, and it's a big space. And earlier, it was like a wide space, but now it is a big space, and everyone is catching up in their own domains, and they're taking a deep dive, into it. So that's something which I wanted to talk briefly. And here are some of the use cases. I'm sure some of you would have done it. That's what I want to hear from you when I hear the queries from your end later. Post my presentation, what I also want to hear from you is what have you done, or what are you doing now, and what are your plans. So definitely post your queries, and I'll be very happy to answer. But I would also like to hear from you as what you're doing, and what have you done, and what are you planning to do. Let's say on the healthcare side of it, right? One of the best use cases, which I'm going to talk in detail, across various verticals as well, the patient diagnosis, right? There are various factors, that are considered into it. There are various symptoms, the historical data of what are the diseases that one had, and whatever the doctor reports, that said in the past. Again, the historical data and the medical images. You saw, right? Suddenly, I'm talking about not only the enterprise data side of it, but also on the big data side of it. When there is images that is coming, when there is the reports, that are coming in, the big data side of it. So it's both the combination of the enterprise side of data and also the big data side of it. So the patient diagnosis and treatment, that's one of the best use case that you can find in the healthcare industry. And finance, when it comes to finance, um, fraud detection, right? Is one of the key use cases. What we see. Let's say, what you do as a part of this is you feed the data, you extract the data, you put an algorithm, and you train the model, and create this. One of the best use case here is more on the I would say device fingerprints, right? That's one of the best finance use case that you see on the fraud detection. And similarly, manufacturing, the anomaly detection. So when I say anomaly detection, if you take, let's say, the supervised and unsupervised learning side of it, right? So the supervised learning side of it, it's more from the labeling the data, the training of the data, and classification, right? It could be anomalous or non-anomalous side of the thing. Or from the unsupervised learning point of view, it's more from the confidence level that you set, and even detect the various data points from the generalized test. So I can, relate this to when I was working for a manufacturing industry. I'll just give a quick scenario, right? What we were doing as a part of when we were working for a steel plant. So to the blast furnace at more than 1,000 degrees centigrade, you have to burn the coal, you have to burn the iron ore, and there were additives that used to go, like manganese and all. So we used to weigh it on the weighing scales. There used to, you know, the weighing machine, and we were using SCADA systems. And during those times, it was not, very accurate way of measuring the things, identifying the anomalies. But today with AI, you can definitely do it. You can identify through the supervised or unsupervised way of doing the things with AI. We can do that. And apart from that, um, Retail sector, yes, government, there are smarter services that are coming in. I'm sure you would have heard of energy meters, the smart meters. It's not probably implemented across India yet, but I know for sure in Karnataka, in some of the sectors, this was an initiative that was taken from one of the DC, whom I know, he had taken an initiative on the smarter services, and this is something kind of digital initiative, right? Which was done as a part of government vertical. We have seen that happening, and transportation. I'll talk about that very soon, and media, education. Education sector. You have seen not only during C19 scenario, probably you are seeing more. Um, Maybe that's an area you can also focus, how you can help your institution. Probably, I'm sure you're already doing it, but you can always look into it, having a smart tutors or virtual robot. We are talking a lot about the various um, I mean the VCs, right? Video conference apps from outside India, but there are a lot of Make in India products as well, whom I interact with. They have made a very good VC apps, which we are taking it to various institutions across India, not only across India and globally as well. And apart from that, grading assignments is something, and proctors, having the proctors right for the exams, for the assessments, that you do, and adaptive learning. These are some of the use cases that you can definitely look from the education point of view, right? So these are some of the use cases which I showcase at a high level. We'll get into quickly very specifics. I will not be able to cover all the use cases in the interest of time. However, I want to cover some of the use cases. Let's say financial services, right? So if you see from the AI side of it, artificial intelligence side of it, I would call data is king. So whereas in financial services, credit is king. So that's something, when you have a good credit history, that's something which is very good for the individual, for the financials sector or an organization. And in insurance, I'm sure you would have heard of something called underwriting, right? So the smart underwriting history, that's a good solution as well from the insurance, the financial services sector. And I was just talking to your one of your professor in the claims industry, right? In the insurance industry, just for you to know, majority of the business, it comes from the client side of it, the P&L side of it, and from the sales and distribution side of it. So under claims, whenever any calamity happens, you would go and report. It could be over a message or over the phone or over the fax. So today, with the artificial intelligence side of it, the claims are settled at the spot. So the way it is done. When I was working with some of the PhD professors last year in Triple IT, uh, the images, right, to the any calamity happens, an accident occurs, the level of the level of damage that has happened, to the vehicle, and how deep the damage is. The drone can come in, take the images, send it to the backend team. They can work quickly using AI algorithms and quickly come up with what is the damage cost. And and this is something on spot settlement, on the spot settlement that I've heard of. That's a fantastic use case in the insurance industry. And there is also something called weak AI and strong AI. The weak AI, I mean, it's not. Don't take it in a way that it's weak. Siri is a kind of weak AI, and don't go by the literal meaning of the word weak. But that's considered, as a weak AI, and whereas the strong AI is more from the chatbots, the conversational chatbots. right? There is real time, it could be real time also. The chatbot is something you land in a Singapore airport, Shanghai airport. Let's say you want to find so and so coffee shop, so it can take you directly exactly to that coffee shop while you are chatting on that app. There is an app that you can download. When you land there, it can take you exactly to that coffee shop through which let's see a local train you have to take if you have to move from one airport to another, which floor you have to go. So it can take you there. That's one. And even in trading, right, in financial services, the way I would prioritize, rather the industry itself, right, in terms of complexity, in terms of the criticality of the severity in financial services, the securities and capital markets that comes on top, and then the banking side of it, and then the insurance side of it, in terms of the severity and the criticality. And trading is something which is real time, which has to happen on the go, and that involves a lot of risk. So trading is another area where machines are taught from the past, and observe the patterns, various patterns, and predict the outcomes. I mean, there are so many agents probably who might come back and suggest probably you can go for zone stores, stock options. Some of the key organizations who they suggest all this, I'm sure they're using artificial intelligence side of machine learning and deep learning, right? So that's something which I wanted to talk, and also wanted to touch upon very quickly on data robo. That's something which is used to enhance decision making. So with that, probably let me move. I want to do a quick time check as where we are, so that we get good amount of time uh, to answer your queries as well. I think we are good. So I think I'll slightly speed up now because I want to really cover on the real time the case studies where I've worked in the past and currently that I'm working. So here in the healthcare industry, we spoke about earlier the patient diagnosis and all that, and one of the use case probably you can also look at here is from the diagnostic radiology. If someone has a tumor, there is a scan that is taken from top to the bottom of the brain, and there is automatic detection, right, of tumors from the 3D images that are taken, and this produces a large number of areas where doctors can see and diagnose as well, right? So it could be the tumors, or it could be what do you say for eyes, the retinal images, and what really I also want to take a step back, right, while I'm talking about the use cases. Uh, See, artificial intelligence, the way I would look at this, I'm sure you would have heard. What I've heard is this is more like a gardening, right? I would not focus more on the code here, but rather that's something you can go learn and code. It could be using the open source tools, or it could be using the COTS tools that are available in the market. But what is key is data. Data is something that's really key. You go to anybody, they might share the code, but what about the data? Data is not easy to get, because the data that you need is, I mean, how AI, your the NLP and all, which works, is how will you train the models? How much of data that you feed? How will you train the models? Based on that, the accuracy levels also increases. The more number of data that you generate, more number of data that you feed, and it's good, for your models, right? And let's say, on a lighter note, direct patient management is one of the use case, which we can see. Um, I mean, with AI implemented, I don't think we will get into the mode of what you say in the Munna by MBBS. What you would have heard, fill in the form, form borough, right? I don't think we will get into. We are out of those space, with AI coming in. That's where the direct patient management, is being done. And very quickly, moving on to some of the use cases from the manufacturing sector. So, what are some of the challenges that you see? Let's say in terms of, I mean, generally in a manufacturing sector, right? So there is generally in a manufacturing sector, especially in terms of cargoes and shipments, there is fleet management, that has to be planned, and there is supply chain, and there is delivery that has to happen. So it could be to the retailers or directly to the consumers in terms of B2B or B2C, right? So that's one of the areas. And vehicle maintenance. See, Honda, what they're doing, I'm sure they would have implemented, AI side of it. I do get auto schedule. They do auto schedule. It's not just about getting the call. I do get email alerts, the SMS alerts, and email alerts. And of course, it's more of a hybrid AI. It's not just that, and there is face-to-face FaceTime, which is attached. There's a call that I also get from Honda. His your maintenance is due. Not just that, probably what is the repair levels that needs to be done at 100K kilometers or 120K, 150K, or 50K, the initial maintenance and all that. So that's one area. And if you see the inventory management, it's huge when you go to any manufacturing industry, or even you take a floor shop in a manufacturing a plant, um, wherein, let's say, the IT division of it, if they want to locate whether their cartridge is there or not, where exactly the location is. Earlier, it was all manual. Someone has to go there and check. But now this is not the case. If the printer cartridge is over, or if it is pending, if it is there in stock, it will tell you exactly. From the floor plan management, that's something which you can also automate using AI. It will tell you exactly on which floor it is, on which box it is. So to that level, the inventory management is also done. Like it also tells it also allows you to buy something if the stock is over, right? For it could be for the sales or for consumption. So that's these are some of the use cases in the manufacturing sector, and yeah, that's pretty much. So I want to touch upon very quickly before I move to uh, the next set of slides. Uh, See, I've taken various use cases from various industries. There are some of the industries where there are common use cases, but I just wanted to increase the level of coverage so that I do not repeat across the sectors, but also have more coverage on various use cases, right? So here, when it comes to retail sector, probably what you can see is, let's say, improving the marketing and sales side of it, right? I just spoke about hybrid AI side of it. So that's hybrid AI is something which is through the machine learning and through human supervision as well. Let's say how to improve the sales and marketing. I mean, of course, in C19 scenario, it's completely online. But otherwise, with the hybrid AI, what you do is you do put kiosks in the malls, and you do put digital sales concierges. It could be in the public places, or it could be the malls where the huge gathering happens. Or nowadays, probably in C19 scenario, it's more of a conversational chatbots. So you see a lot of websites you go, you do see chatbot, right? Popping up, and some places it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up, which is annoying, but it's okay, right? In some of the cases, that's the conversational chatbots are there. That's where you see more of a hybrid AI, right? And let's say when it comes to building brand value. Um, now, what you need is more from you have to express yourself, right? So the way it happens, earlier days or the stages of the brand value is more from the development side of it, the authority side of it, expression side of it, and even the expansion side of it. So the last two, the expression and expansion, is what I would put into the digital marketing or the social media, right? That's where you can express more and you can reach out to large customer base. And again, it's through the digital marketing. When I say digital marketing, again you will get into AI side of it, right? So that's another use case where you can look at building the brand value. The way it is done is you get the data. Again, you go back to the data. As I said, on the AI side of it, it's data is the king, right? That's the king. The more insights that you get, and the more data that you get, the historical data, what you get, and see the customer sentiments as what it is, and the experience design. That's something which really matters. So design thinking and all, it's totally a different topic, which I do not want to go there. The experience design, that's something which is really key as well, right? For building the brand value. And if you want to achieve the brand advocacy, that's something which we can definitely do using AI, right? So at this point of time, should I take a break and mm, look for some questions, or shall we take it towards the end?
We can take it at the end of the session, sir. You please carry on.
All right. So let me move on. And I'll just touch upon one more use case on the enhancing customer experience. See, this is something probably you would have heard in the last few years or even more. When I got into industry, IT industry, or yeah, in actual real IT, the so-called real IT in 2000 is after my manufacturing stint. Is you go to any customer, even today, what they speak about is the cost, quality, and the time to market. So these are the three areas: the cost, quality, and time to market. This is what is being looked upon. And what I'm hearing and what I've seen and I've experienced in the last few years or even more is from the how do you enhance the customer experience, right? Mm, how do you enhance the customer experience? Let's say you get a customer to your institution. What is the wow factor that you have? You take them to one of your labs or center of excellence. What is the wow factor that you have? That's really important, and you take the customer experience point of view. So this is more personal, I would say. It's your experience. Let's say you go to Mintra or you go to Amazon. Um, what is the best customer experience that you have had, right? It could be at the time of exit out, or it could be when you find your products, that you look for. That's one area, that can be looked at as a customer experience. And second is, when we go to any of the, how do you buy? Last few months, probably completely online that we are looking at. the convenience to buy, right? Whether you buy it online, you make a research online, or you go to the stores and buy it, or you do more and more research via mobile apps. Let's say these are all the various convenient mechanisms that you find, and finally you might buy online, but that all these areas, it gives a very rich customer experience before you decide and buy. And even the high touch kind of thing, right? Let's say you hit a gym. How many times you hit a gym? um, I mean, that gives more touch points, than maybe you go out and do your yoga. So I'm not comparing between the gym and yoga. That's not the case here, but it's more from the data points, right? And that's more from the high touch points that you can look at. So this is something, I don't think this is new, for you all. I just brought this slide. Um, I mean, I'm sure you would have learned, or you're going to learn, as a part of the supervised or unsupervised. There is semi-supervised learning. There is reinforcement learning through the driverless cars and all, right? So very quickly, I'm not touching upon in detail. I'm sure you already have studied. I'm sure you are going to touch from the theoretical point of view, whether it's the various the machine learning types. But what I want to really touch upon is some of the cases, right? Mm, as a part of supervised learning, what you get is more. It's all the label data, right? It's more a task driven, is what you see. And whereas from the unsupervised learning, what you see is it's again, it's data driven, but it's more of unlabeled. It's all unlabeled data is what you see. Whereas when it comes to semi supervised learning, what you see is some of the label data, but lots of unlabeled data, is what you see. And whereas with the reinforcement learning, that's something where you learn from probably from mistakes. So it's like both supervised and unsupervised are. Like driverless cars. I'll come to that very soon. But or let me start with that reinforcement learning. I'll just pick one examples on all these driverless cars. You've heard from many the driverless cars, but I'm sure you would have heard these as well. That's something AWS, the Amazon, they have this AWS deep racer, right? That's something which is a self-driving robot, with the camera on it. That's one. And Voyage deep dive, is another one, which is driverless cars. So this is more from the reinforcement learnings. You keep trying, learn from the mistakes, right? So that's on the reinforcement. So when it comes to a simple example, maybe you have heard, it's about the housing price prediction. Housing price prediction, how do you arrive at? So the inputs that you need is what is the size of a flat or an apartment or a house or a villa that you're looking at, how many bedrooms that you need, and what is the zip code where you stay. And apart from that, and also based on the wealth or the average income, right? So let's say there could be more and more parameters that you can look at. Let's take these simple parameters to arrive at. And this can be done with the task driven supervised learning. And what it gives is, these are the various parameters it gives. How do you arrive at number of bedrooms, what you need based on the family size, right? And why do you need probably the zip code? Why do I choose when I move to Hyderabad? Is I wanted to find something, let's say a community which is close to the golf course, let's say, or close to a school community, or to a college, let's say. That's one. And from the walkability point of view as well. So with these various parameters, you can arrive at what is the housing price, that is required. That's one area. And when it comes to unsupervised learning, probably um, let's take an example of what are the various needs at various ages. Let's say less than 18, know what you need from the education point of view, from the studies point of view. Not only that, probably from 18 to 30 as well. Maybe someone wants to go for a startup, that could be a need, or something else. Or 30 to 45, it's more to settle. The kids, the home, what you want to buy. 60 plus, it's more from the retirement point of view, as what you need, or at appropriate time to go for insurance as well, having your own home as well. That's something which you can do through unsupervised learning. I'm talking about clustering through for the customer segmentation, right? So another area, very quickly, before I move to the case studies, is on the semi-supervised learning, right? This is more from the text classification, that you can look at classification algorithm, or even the lane finding on the GPS data, right? That's something you can look. But the interesting one that I want to share, the image classification, is I used to work during my school and college. I used to work in Western Ghats, and I'm sure you all know how tigers are identified. It's all based on the stripe patterns, stripes and stripe patterns. So those days, it was very tough. I mean, first of all, we should be really lucky to see a tiger. We were using the bug marks, right? We were using the scents, that it puts on the various trees. There were various mechanisms to identify that, but actually, the way you identify, I mean, you don't name the tigers. Yes, there are areas where they name the tigers and all, but actually, it is identified through the stripe patterns. Today, in the Western Ghats, a friend of mine, whom we were working closely in the Western Ghats, so he's using the artificial intelligence side of it. He gets, I mean, there is a camera trapping done where I myself was, present when I went to Western Ghats to put the cameras right on the tiger path, the walking path. Normally that it uses take various images, hundreds of images, right, and then take those images, make the models learn, and identify the tiger. Okay, that's tiger one, tiger two, or so. So you can. That's the way to do census of the tigers. But yes, even in person, every year it is being done. It could be elephant census or tiger census. But for AI side of it, it's more for the tigers with the stripe patterns. That's more applicable here than than the than any other animal census, right? So quick time check. Probably I have another 15 minutes before we get into Q&A, but I might slightly spill over because I want to cover good amount of case studies. Some of the caselets that I want to cover is these are from the actual implementation, right? Which is done. One is for so if you see, I mean, today when you make a call, you report an incident, and I'm just trying to give an example of the real-time scenario. Okay, you call, let's say Airtel, and you have an issue with them, and you call Airtel, and they come back and raise a ticket. So what happens there on the back end? So you might do you might raise a ticket online, or you might raise it complaint, rather they raise a ticket. it could be done in an automated way or through email or through calls, let us say. So this service does, when they take the request, there is something called AHT, which is called average handling time. So so here it comes in various forums, in various forms, not forums, various forms. It could come in call or mobile or web, online. It could come in fax. Let's say predominantly you see the fax usage in the in the US. And I mean, here in India, we do not use much. It could be to complain or otherwise, right? So that's an area. It's called. I just wanted to give a brief of what AHT is. This is called average handling time. So how much time you take to take the customer request, raise a ticket, and assign it to the right person. So that is also really key, and that is one. The second is I I mean, this is I'm talking about the UK based global telecom provider, right? So here with this customer, what was happening is the call resolution time. It was taking more time. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you the right data with my notes as well. So uh, there were a lot of very high chances that you know, we were not doing it right the first time. So that's something the customer experience, right? RFT, which you call it as. Um, that's something which was not happening, and there were a lot of human interference that was required, for this telecom provider. And call resolution, it was taking more time, and the cost of operation cost, it was going pretty high. And they also wanted to, integrate various ticketing systems. So this is another challenge, right? What you see in many organizations, they might have, for whatever the reason, they might have multiple ticketing systems, but they wanted to integrate and make it fun. So this is where we took our AI platform, and what we did is through text analytics and the natural language processing side of it. So what we did is there is something called SOPs, standard operating procedures. So we did automate, and with this automation, the mean time reduction, the MTTR is what we call it as. There was a reduction by 80%, and what this also helped is the human interference. It became less, and there were a lot of self learning to the models. The more tickets that we get, the more uh, the more data that you feed, and you make the models understand, give more data. That's something which really helps, right, to the system. So that's something what we did with the text analytics and by automating SOPs through NLP, and even getting the right for the first time. So that really increased as well. The second area, probably very quickly I want to touch upon is SAP, support and resolution. This is something, what we used was to remediate SAP errors and to look at auto classifications of the resolutions. Right, there is something called self-healing mechanism. Just to give a quick example, simple example. When you want to reset the password, what you do, you give a call, someone else resets a password for you. Whereas with AI, what we have done, or through AI RPA, what was done is, uh, you want to, I'm giving a simple example, but if you want to reset the password, go ahead and either give a call or log in online. So this AI system, without any human interference, this chatbot, let's say, without any human interference, this automatically raises the ticket, resets the password for you, and tells you the password is resetted, and it is reset, and there is an email or SMS alert, with the new password. right? It's all done automatically. And not only this, once it is done, this also closes the ticket. So what this means is it's more of a auto healing feature or a self healing feature, which was done. That one. And moving quickly to the next case study is from the auto fulfillment, right? This is again for one of the telecom provider. What we did, they had an order fulfillment management systems. The challenges that they had was they wanted us to prevent the outages. I mean, though they had 24 by 7, there were a lot of outages, that used to happen. And there is something called SLAs, what we have, what we had, the service level agreements, at various stages. That adherence was not there, and the remediation was done more from the manual point of view. That's how it was done. So these are some of the challenges that they had, and what we did with our AI system is, and of course the text and SMS alerts is something that we did, and we did build a smart monitoring solution as well, for any instance that is on red, how well we can take it on priority and address that. And it's not only logging the tickets but also to prioritize. It's not just the prioritization um, based on the customers that they log in, but also from the historical data of what we have. Can we prioritize, can we increase the level of severity and see how quickly we can address. So that's something which was done. And the other case study is, it's on the front office RPA. What you see, this was more from the front office. When you see the GUI, the graphical user interface, that's something which really matters from the customer experience point of view as well. I mean, you go to any website, can you wait more than 5 seconds, 10 seconds or so? I mean, you want that immediately to pop up. I mean, you cannot wait. The website should load in not more than 2 seconds. I don't. I think it's 1.6 seconds or the norm or so, or maybe even lesser than that. But it should load immediately. That's the kind of customer experience that you have. So here, what we did is, there were no integrations that was done, and there was growing volumes on the processes. RPA is used for more from the process automation side of it. And again, AHT, the annual handling time, was high. So here, we did reduce the, I mean, this was done through RPA. We had our own solution. What we did is we got a unified desktop, right? On a desktop, get all the alerts that comes in a various way. The phone, the phone call, the mobile, or the online request, could be the fax. We did all that, brought it to the agent in a unified way, in a unified desktop, so that it was very easy, to process. So that way, the whole time was reduced, and AHT was reduced. Yeah, as you see here, it was reduced by more than 20%. And of course, there was a improved CSAT as well, the customer satisfaction. So one last case study before I move and talk about Autonomic is, okay. We do have 5 or 10 more minutes. Probably I'll extend it to 10 more minutes before we get into Q&A. Again, this is more on the RPA, what we have done, and they had about, I think, 14 or 15, front office, the processes, which we could do it with, single click, right? This was done for a global retailer. Again, the RFT came into picture, the AHT came into picture, for increasing the efficiency. So with this, I want to take you through our. This is the organization that I work for. Uh, I do lead the efforts on the ERP, cloud apps automation and test automation. Right, automation being my passion, and not only that, having worked for various service industries, I thought, okay, let me explore how the not only the startup is, but also I love to be in the emerging trend space. So that's when last year I got a very good opportunity to work with the IIIT in Hyderabad with some of the PhD professors on the AI space. Then I got into Autonomic. We are actually the reason why I'm talking. I wanted to talk about our organization is I want you to know what we do on the AI space. We are completely into artificial intelligence side of it, right? Autonomic, it's more from named from the autonomous point of view, the intelligent quotient point of view, automation point of view. That's how we have named it, and it's a cloud-based startup. We are based out of Silicon Valley in Palo Alto in California. We started this about 3 years back, but 2 years back we are really in the market, and our R&D team, sits in the US. Our engineering team is based out of Bangalore, and I'm covering here in India globally. Yes, of course. Um, okay, what we do, here is, I mean, we do have the support from Stanford and from various universities. We do have the PhD professors supporting us from Stanford, and we do have actually the doctorates working on the R&D division with Autonomic. So we are completely a cloud-based startup. What we really focus is on the next gen, right? What we do not focus is on the mainframes or the client server side of it. The reason being, I mean, that's something we are looking at that as old age technologies. And a lot of customers, you see, they're all moving towards cloud. Few years back, 3 years, 5 years back, there were a lot of questions about the cloud security. But today, you do not see much, and we are all on cloud, right? We're all AI is all around us, and we're all on cloud. So we are into three areas, and our motto is to the convert test intent to test results. I'll come very soon. As what it means is, from we do cover the enterprise automation side of it. One is on the dev automation. This is something a freeware that we have. You can go to a Chrome store and download. We have fantastic feedback on this. More than 4.5 rating on a scale of 5. This is something which is a freeware. As I said, it's available for public download. uh, it's called Crowpath. Again, I repeat, and we have more than 600,000 users, using Crowpath across more than 180 countries, um, and hundreds of customers are using it. And this is something that I suggest that every developer, no matter how big or how small or how medium, whatever you are developing, that every developer should use. And we are attracting about 25,000 to 30,000 new customers, using Crowpath. This is something I recommend you all, should go and take a look at it. And that's one side of the enterprise automation. The second is on the test automation. We call it as AIQ automation for both business process automation and test automation. So here, what we do is on the test automation side of it. I said about test intent to test results, right? Let's take any tools available in the market, COTS tools or any other open source tools. Um, the challenge, it comes when it comes to maintenance. I myself have done automation right from, I mean, during my manufacturing plan days of industrial automation, but actual IT right from 2000. So when it comes to maintenance, it's a big challenge, right? There is something called XPath, which is which has to be identified. Like any changes that happens, even small font changes or a text box or a list box, it's moved to a certain extent, it will not identify. So again, you have to go back, touch the code and all that. Whereas here, we have completely eliminated that. When I say that, this is again completely AI powered, right? And it's a cloud solution, and it's as a SaaS solution is something that we are which as a SaaS solution is something that we are offering, and we can one can host this on AWS or GCP, the Google Cloud Platform, or Cloud Azure, and we are also hosting it on Oracle Cloud, very soon, based on the customer requirements. We are doing that. I mean, that's something, and there is something called auto healing feature. It's a part of the maintenance which takes care of it automatically. When I say test intent to results, you our motto is, if you express your test case in English, and we'll be able to generate the test scripts for you automatically, generate the test data, and run the test cases and generate the reports for you, right? So it could be for web application, it could be for the ERPs, Oracle HCM, let's say Oracle Cloud Apps, SAP Success Factors, or Salesforce, or Workday. You take any of these, we can do that. And this is completely AI powered, right? We have our own NLP engine. We have the amazing the architecture, what we have, um, to perform this. And you just even when we record, it's more of a scriptless automation, right? So the intent of doing this is also, um, when you go to Oracle, let's say HCM, human capital management, this is different from the HR. So HCM is something, it has various modules, let's say onboarding or the absence management or so. This is predominantly done by the business users. So our uh, our oh, I see a question coming. Sure, I'll take that. I'll just take few more minutes. What I was talking is, this is predominantly done by the business users, right? So business users can also use our solution, and it's just a matter of few days to learn our solution, right? And one can go to autonomic.io, see the various videos that we have, check our website. um, it's completely AI powered, right? And I also touched upon the test data, right? So that's something which I spoke earlier as well. So what we are also doing is, as a part of the test data generation, we want to generate, let's say, thousands or millions of rows of test data. Data is key, and this is used for test automation. It is used for performance engineering, which is really key. If you want to measure the throughput or the load, especially for the load testing, the performance engineering side of it, to use that. And another aspect is, I'm not sure how many of you have heard of a role called DPO. That's data protection officer. That's something which is really key, in the market. And this addresses the DPOs as well. We are using this using the grammar based and using GAN techniques, right, on the AI side of it. That's something we are doing, and that's from the test data side of it. This is on the test automation, and on the business process automation, we have integrated our solution with UiPath, and we have partnered with them, and but we have our own solution. I mean, I'm not saying we are competing with the Automation Anywhere or UiPath, but we are some of the areas we are covering as a part of the business process automation. All right. So we wanted to bundle the enterprise automation into one. So that's how that with that intent we started Autonomic, and we are working in 2 years. We are working with more than 30 customers. of Fortune 1000, and we have 50 more customers in pipeline. So with this, probably I'll quickly get into a case study, right? Um, yeah. Maybe in the interest of time, because I see the numbers or so this is one of the case studies, that I wanted to pick, where it is near zero automation was achieved. Near zero automation maintenance, I would say, right, and 80% reduction in the automation creation. And the speed is, just like this. If you're taking, let's say, 15 minutes, in this case, yeah, in the next case study, right, or one of these, probably let me pick. Um, the customer used to, manually to execute, or even in the traditional automation way, it was taking a lot of time, 15 minutes or so. We could do it in a few minutes, and our solution, it generates thousands of lines of code, within a minute. And you can literally see that, when we run those, um, when we generate those scripts, actually. And as I said, on the Oracle side of it, we see more than 70-80% of the efforts on the test automation creation. And when it comes to the execution, it's done in an unattended, fashion. And there is a lot of savings. What it means is, it's not taking out automation. This AI automation, what we are doing is, it's not taking out the people, whereas it is creating more opportunities, and thus increasing the throughput as well, right? So this is a quick case studies. But what I would like to do is, maybe in the interest of time, quick time share. Yeah, we have 20 minutes to go. Probably we can get into question and answers, or any of the slides, or any case study you want to get into more details. Please let me know. We can go back as well. Yeah, ma'am. It's over to you.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Please. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, one and all. I, Vedavati GR, Associate Professor in ECE Department from East Point College of Engineering and Technology, will take the privilege of proposing vote of thanks on this occasion. I would like to thank our keynote speaker, Mr. Ramesh Iyenger, on behalf of East Point IEEE Student Chapter, for sparing his valuable time and sharing his insight on artificial intelligence. I'm sure all the participants have lot of takeaway from this, and definitely would explore how this AI platform can be deployed effectively around us. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our management and our principal, Dr. Prakash S., who always been a backbone for organizing such kind of events. Thank you, sir. Also, my sincere thanks goes to our HOD, Dr. G.S. Yogesh, who always motivates and encourages us to take up such activities. Thank you, sir, for your kind support. My next vote of thanks goes to the entire team of IEEE Bangalore section, Dr. Selvia, for her kind support. This event wouldn't have been possible without the support of all the faculty members of ECE and EEE department, and webinar streaming technical team and student coordinators. Thanks to the entire team for all the constant support. Last but not the least, my sincere thanks goes to all the participants for being a wonderful audience. Thank you all. Thank you, one and all. Sir, now with your kind permission, shall we take up the questions that is posted by our participants? Shall we
Sure.
proceed for the questions, sir?
Sure, ma'am. I was going through some of the live comments.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going through some of the live comments. I do see a lot
Yes.
of queries posted. So
Yeah.
so let me pick.
Just shall I read out the questions, sir?
Is I just want to make sure that uh, yeah,
Sir, this
I'm
is
going through,
the
ma'am. I
yeah.
just want to make
This is
sure
the
that
question. This is a question
sorry,
asked
ma'am.
by Manjushri Subramanya Kumar. Uh, are machine learning and AI threats? Are machine learning and AI threats to the job security and employment opportunity of technical staff and even senior executives?
Okay. Yeah, that's probably an easy question. Thanks, Manjushri, for asking. Definitely not. In fact, when automation started, jobs, but whereas it did create more opportunities, right? That's what now during AI times. Definitely, it is creating more and more opportunities. So I don't see artificial intelligence side of it. Definitely not, or automation side of it. But there are other reasons. Probably people are losing. Uh,
Okay, I think there is some connectivity problem. Sir, can you hear me? Hello. Can we proceed with the next question, sir? Ramesh, sir? I hope some connectivity problem. Yeah, we will be joining soon. Just stay for a second now. Yeah, I hope you all must have a lot of takeaway from this AI webinar. That is the AI platform. It is the upcoming field, and you can also deploy some of the AI platform, and you can just see how it can be used effectively around us. Okay, so I welcome our HOD sir, Dr. Yogesh. Sir, will you please say a few words to the audience?
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Hello.
It's connecting, sir. Here.
I think there was a
Yeah,
power
yeah, yeah. Fine.
outage actually, so I lost connection. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was answering to Manjushri. AI is not a threat to replace humans, or neither it's not a threat to take away the jobs. But but it's creating even more and more opportunities. That's what I would say. But what I would also suggest is it could be for the senior executives, or at whatever the mid level, or anybody. One has to keep themselves upskilled, right? So one has to really keep themselves upskilled and move in line with the industry trends, that is going on. So that's definitely the key, at any levels.
Okay, thank you, sir. And another question from our participant, that is Dr. Navya. What are the considerations for the data sources needed to support to development of artificial intelligence programs for the health and healthcare?
Data sources needed. So probably I might need some more details, Navya, what you meant by the considerations. Probably at a high level, what I can tell you is, I mean, one is from the healthcare point of view. Let's say the regulatory definitely comes into picture, and needs to take care. If I understood your question, industry, especially in healthcare. So that's one. You need to definitely look into. But I want to understand in detail what you meant by considerations from this. If I know more details as what you're looking at, probably I can revert.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Definitely, we can get back that question once again. Another question is from Dr. Shiva from East Point College of Engineering and Technology. The question is, the weak AI like autopilot of Tesla, does it involve all modes of learning or just supervised learning? Does it involve reinforcement learning?
Um, I'm not sure, but looking at that, with the example that you gave, I'm sure reinforcement learning has to be there. The reason being, see, especially when it comes to driverless cars, there has to be reinforcement learning, I'm sure, because that's where you learn a lot from the mistakes, a lot from the data that you get. So there has to be continuous, monitoring that has to happen as a part of the autopilot, and I'm sure it involves reinforcement learning. I mean, though I have not really read. I mean, from the autopilot of Tesla, but I'm sure they will have the reinforcement learning as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. And another question from Samuel. SWE role versus data scientist role in terms of future employment.
So, what was the question, ma'am? SWE and data scientist role, is it?
Versus, yeah, data scientist role in terms of future employment.
I mean, in terms of future employment, software engineer is what I think you are saying when you meant by SWE. Um, No, both are fine. Both are fine. So we are. This will continue to exist. We are here to exist and run the show. Both are fine, but I would say probably a data scientist role. If you're looking at a higher pay, maybe look at from the data scientist role point of view. This also involves, the big data. Big data is the key, right? The big data, the cloud, the combination of these two, with artificial intelligence, it's really, really powerful. And data scientists, there are plenty of opportunities in the market. I would pick, if I have to pick one, I would pick a data scientist.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you. Another question from Dr. Siva. What do you mean by autonomic is completely cloud based? What does it mean to an uneducated public? You technology provider, technology vendor, or technology user?
Okay, we are a solutions provider. I would say the reason why I say is when I say completely cloud based, Uh, our solution, is on cloud. Just with just go given a link to you. You just have a browser. You should be able to access. That's what I meant when I say cloud based. You don't have to necessarily install it on your machine. Um, as a product license, you don't have to install it on your machine. But we have that option also on-prem option. But to your question, to put it in a simplistic way, you have the link, you have an URL, just any browser you want to go and access, you can access our solution or our product, I would say. And there was one more question, ma'am. Can you display that? I think in that there was one more question. Can
Uh,
you display that question?
is, do you anticipate the creative? Is the question, sir? You would like to answer?
No, from Dr. Shiva. Okay, yeah, I see that question here. We are more of a technology providers, I would say, solution providers, than solution providers, and we provide solutions, develop solutions, and provide it. We are more of a technology providers, I would say. Yeah,
Okay, sir.
please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And one more question from Konika. Can we say AI ruining the natural intelligence?
Can we say AI is threat and ruining
Right,
natural
and
intelligence?
natural intelligence, yes, sir.
Um, No, I would probably it's debatable, but definitely not. It's not a threat. But look at it this way. It's giving you more opportunities to move to the next level, right? So I we all have started using you know the mobile phones, right? Let's say, or any other technology that came in. That did not threat anything from our intelligence point of view, but however it did set as a new baseline. So for us to move to the next notch, to the next level, you can look at it this way, Konika, that definitely AI is not a threat, but at least where we have reached the level, you can with your intelligence. But definitely, this topic is also debatable, right? Who is better, whether it's artificial intelligence or human beings. But I would say yes, human beings are more intelligent, and we are the ones who have created this. And I'm sure the intelligence will not be lost, but it is look at this as a new baseline and take it to the next level.
Okay. Okay, sir. And one more question from Saurav Manna. To become an AI-based professional, what all programming skills do we need?
Yeah. Before that, probably what I would suggest is you have that intent. Yes, you have your mindset, to get in there. That's one, and then you will learn. It could be through Python is really strong. What I see. Um, Python is widely used as well. That's something which is there. That gives you plenty of opportunities for you to learn. I would pick Python. That's something. Yes, I did hands-on as well last year. That's something which has really worked. R has worked, right? So I mean, not necessarily only on one language, Saurabh, but Python is what I would pick actually.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah, ma'am, there
Uh,
was one more question prior to this from Kavita, as how I can relate AIML deep learning method used
yes,
to
sir.
diagnose cancer disease. Um, yeah, Kavita, as I think I also touched upon initially earlier on one of the use case called on the tumors, right? So when there are images that are taken from top to bottom of the brain, or it could be the other part of the body where one might have cancer. So with the historical data, and with many data points, I mean, though I've not um, you know in live worked on life, but it can be done. Yes, the tumors can be identified, which cannot be seen, with, with human eye, right? So yes, to your question, yes, we can use to diagnose cancer disease, and I'm sure a lot of healthcare industries they're already using it. Thank you, Saurabh.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Uh, I hope we have done with the questions round. Any more questions needs to ask from the participant side?
Thank you, Kavita. Thank you, Priscilla. Thanks.
Yeah. One more
I mean,
question
this
from
is
the how
how
do
do we go about learning AI if we have to get into the IT industry? So, as I said, Deepak, first you decide, have that mindset, that you want to get in there. And I mean, there are a lot of institutions who are providing various courses on AI online. You can find a lot, and even in person also you can go and get trained once the C19 settles. Um, but yes, you can find a lot of materials online. I'm sure you're already learning a lot in the institution itself from the theoretical point of view. Try to develop on your own. I would say if you are aware of any language, few algorithms, very simple algorithms, take that. That will be a very good starting point. For you to learn, do something on your own. It could be very simple use case, but that's something gives a lot of satisfaction. Before you pick any course. Probably that's best way to start, I would suggest.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And of course, there are various languages for you to learn. Yeah, just staying on the last question
Yeah.
to
Can we
somebody
use
had
the
asked.
AI for corona diagnosis?
To be honest, I mean, but I mean, before that, I'm waiting for the vaccination, right? For Corona before even I go there. But to be honest, I'm not sure if it is really being used. But yes, I think so.
I think
We can
some work
definitely
is
use it.
already going on regarding this, no, sir?
Sorry, ma'am. What was that?
I think regarding the diagnosis on the AI platform, some work is already going on, I guess.
Yes, yes, yes. There is a lot of work which is going on. I don't know how much of data and all that we have for this, but this is mainly on the data, right? I know there are thousands of cases and a lot of datas are there. I'm sure AI can be used in this C19 scenario. But as I said, I am looking for vaccination first.
Okay. One more question, sir, from
So
Madhusudan.
Madhusudan is asking an artificial intelligence.
In artificial intelligence, what do semantic analysis used for?
Semantic analysis. It's quite some time back I did, Madhu. To be honest, it's not on top of my head right now, but I can get back in the real time scenario also. If we have used, I will get back. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Uh, HOD sir will take over the forum now. Yogesh sir.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Vedavati madam.
Sure.
Ramesh, Iyenger sir, it was a very pleasure listening to your webinar. I do know you're quite busy. In spite of your busy schedule, you made it today. I heartfully thank you for your kind time. At the outset, I would like to thank our management Principal sir, HODs of all the departments, and my dear faculty members, and also my dear students. I also thank all the participants throughout other colleges throughout Karnataka. Uh, I thank coordinators Vedavati madam and Kavita madam. I thank one and all who made this webinar a success. More importantly, I would like to thank IEEE East Point Student Branch and also IEEE Bangalore Section Chairperson and his whole team for their kind cooperation. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for giving this opportunity. It was pleasure, talking to you all. And any queries, even at a later point of time, please let me know, and I can definitely revert. Thank you so much. Thanks to you, sir. Thanks, Vedavati ma'am. Thanks, everyone.
Sure, sir. If any queries are there, we'll get back to you. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank
Thank you,
you.
one and
Have
all.
a good day.